What's happening, guys? So today we're going to be talking about a cage for the Canon R6 R5 R5C that isn't the usual folks that actually make cages for cameras. So we're not talking about the tilter, we're not talking about small rig even, we're talking about a completely different cage manufacturer that you probably have never even heard of, and that is these folks up here. Okay, so this is the cage for my Canon Eos R6. I did actually opt in for the bundle where you actually do get a dedicated top handle for this cage itself. It's really high quality, it's really made from complete metal, aluminium, and it is lightweight as well, so it isn't one of these cages that will actually drag you down. It has actually got one of these Manfrotto slots or Arca Swiss slot. I think it's Arca Swiss. Essentially, it's one of these type of tripod plates that is similar design to the DJI RS C2 or RS2. So if you've got one of those type of gimbals that actually holds those plates, this is compatible, so you don't need to disassemble the cage itself. Like I've mentioned, I did actually opt in for the actual top handle itself, and here you go. This is the top handle for the Canon EOS R6. The cage itself is exactly the same format for the R5 as well. And as you can see, you've got ample amount of mounting points on the top handle itself, as well as actually mounting points on the cage, both on the top and of course on the side. You've got, as you can see, a whole bunch of tripod plates, accessories where you can actually mount stuff on there. The actual cage itself and the tripod head does actually support several mounting points for cold tube mounting points. So you've got two at the top either end on this side here. You've got another one at the back or at the front, whichever way your handle would be positioned, and of course you've got another cold tube on the other side as well. So in total on the top handle itself you've got a total of 4, and on the actual cage itself, if you don't actually want to have the top handle itself, you've got a total of 2. So you've got one on the side on here, you've got another one on the side of the body itself, and of course if you actually want to still utilize the hot shoe on the camera itself, you can still do so, because as you can see it's got a cutoff here where it doesn't actually block the functionality. And since we're talking about the functionality about the cage itself, it doesn't actually intrude or block anything about the cage itself, so you can actually access the side ports. So we're talking about the peripherals such as the HDMI, micro HDMI, the USB-C function, etc., headphone jacks, all of that is perfectly accessible. And we're talking about the back end as well, perfectly accessible. You've got a cutoff zone here where you can actually change the battery in case that does die off. And of course the actual handle itself here, it's got a cutoff point perfectly shaped so that you've got access to your door for your SD card slot. And as you can see here, it is designed perfectly nicely, so it's got like a small cutoff zone here where it's nice to actually hold onto it. I will be mounting it to the body itself later on in a bit, but as you can see, it is really strong. It doesn't flex or anything like that. You have got like a little ridge here where you can actually slip on the camera itself, so it doesn't actually push forward or backwards or anything like that. You can push it against it, and the tripod mounting point at the bottom is you know, one of those screw-on type of Allen keys, which isn't exactly, you know, a problem, but you do have to make sure you keep that. And if you don't actually have that, just make sure you've got a flat bottom screwdriver, so you've got 2 different ways of actually screwing and tightening it. Speaking of tightening it, we might as well actually mount it to the Canon R6. What I like to do is place that in front and just slip it straight in front. And once you've actually got it in properly and it's secured, make sure you tighten it. And as you can see, this is the cage on its own. You can actually rock it the way it is. It isn't too bulky and it isn't too small as well, where it starts to scratch the body or scuff the body. And as you can see, here it is. That's how it looks. You know, pretty cool, to be honest. You can still use it the way it is, and the tiny little handle on its side. It does protrude just a little bit, but it gives it a better hold to it. And you can actually have it both ways. This way, which is basically like that, or you can have it the other way, which is just like that. And I like to use it this way, and that's the top handle nicely secured. So now you can actually use it the way it is right now, and this is a perfect moment to actually attach a lens, which in this instance is my favorite, which is the 24mm Sigma Art lens, and I will be attaching this one to the camera. There you go. And this is the profile itself right now. And as you can see, it's complete. You can actually start shooting on right now. But the whole purpose of our obviously using a cage for your camera is to start adding accessories. Now I've got a couple here with me right now. And the first one is, of course, to look the business, is a little 7-inch monitor. Nothing fancy, just something so that you can actually view your work properly. Does the job quite well. It isn't a expensive monitor, so let's just mount that on here. Fairly simple. Now of course you will need to use a HDMI to micro HDMI cable. Now I know, you know, Canon isn't exactly the best. It should be ideally HDMI to HDMI, but in this instance it is a nicely corded wire, so it doesn't tangle too much, and of course you can stretch it to get more reach. But let's fit this to the camera itself. So let's start with the monitor mounted to the side on this instance, and I like to feed it through the little port here, you know, which is a nice touch. I'm pretty sure it's used for something else, but in this instance I will be using it just for that. And mount it to the side, which I believe is here. There you go. So that's how that works. Now of course you will require a battery to power the monitor itself. I'm sorry for the terrible angle, but now it's actually getting quite tall. So in this instance it is the NPF 550, tiny little battery because it doesn't actually require that much power. And of course it just goes right at the top here. So mount this right there, so you can see that. Make sure the connecting pins are intact. There we go. Okay, so now this is kind of set up in a nice way. Since this is set up, the next thing that you want to do is you want to have some sort of a microphone. So whether it's going to be a shotgun style microphone or a lavalier. In this instance I will be actually using a lavalier, which is kind of my preferred choice. So it makes the whole profile look a little bit smaller. So you can actually add it to the side, which is quite easy. You can actually have it this way, or of course you can have it the other way. And it is a fully working setup, so you can actually use it the way it is, or you can have it with a lens hood itself. If you can actually add a lens hood if you actually want to get some glare out of your video, or you can actually add a filter if you actually want to use it. But the thing is, since I am actually using the Sigma 24mm f1.4, I will actually need a ND filter to actually cut down on the amount of light that's coming in, so that I can actually maintain that depth of field. And there you go. That's the whole setup that I've got going on. You know, the cage, the monitor, you know, which is at the top here right now. And of course, that's my setup right now. Simple, ease of use. You can hand it one-handedly easily. You know, you can close the actual screen itself if you want to, or you can keep it open, you know, if you want to have 2 points of viewing angles. I like to keep it closed anyways. But of course, this is the actual cage for the Canon R6. I will leave a link down below. And that is the end of the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that video. It was actually fun actually creating that. But yeah, what else can I actually say? You can add a hell of a lot more things to it. I didn't actually put any rails down, nature rails, matte box, all of that kind of things. I didn't actually add up because I didn't want it to be too complicated. And to be fair, I don't actually need it. Nature rails, you kind of need it if you add matte box or follow focus, that kind of peripherals if you guys actually want so. But the whole purpose of a cage is obviously it's endless. You can put as much stuff as you actually want. You can make it as cinematic build type of film production type of set, or you can keep it as slim and just keep it, you know, mobile. It's entirely up to you. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, like, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.